I'm not going to allow you to have stable communities, because if you have a Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm going to burn that down. If you think you're going to stabilize a so-called middle-class community and you're going to have a home that's mortgaged, I'm going to see that those mortgages are foreclosed so that you can be into family dissolution, place of living dissolve. So what we can say is that we have an imposed culture under the power dynamics of racism, white supremacy. See, I can see right now in my mind the picture of Beyonce with her legs wide open at the Super Bowl for last year. It was so appalling to me, I can't get it out of my mind.
Do not feed into the argument. There is no limit on positions there. Do not feed into the argument. The winners are random like blowing air. Do not feed into the argument. When it comes to arguing, I'm ready for it. Do not feed into the argument. My wheels be spinning and I ain't went nowhere. Do not feed into the argument. As soon as I win, I feel like it's pointless. Do not feed into the argument. Siphon out my energy and growing. Plus, do not feed into the argument. What is an argument to Stardust? Do not feed into the argument. A bunch of niggas who's hostile. That's called us. Do not feed into the argument. One nigga say light, the other say dark. Do not feed into the argument. Out of the darkness, I came light work. Do not feed into the argument. Ignore it and it go away, brother panic. Do not feed into the argument. Codification under these circumstances.
Sidewalk. I mean, we are some kind of loaded with hostility like you wouldn't believe.
Don't fuck 'em!
Do not feed into the argument. Do not feed into the argument. Do not feed into the argument. Do not feed into the argument.
Yes, but see, you have to codify your approach to any black person. And that is, for one thing, you can't get in an argument with black people, period. I mean, we got to stop arguing. The minute the argument starts according to the code, then you say, I will talk to you some other time.
Do not feed into the argument. Argue and feel the fire rise in you. Do not feed into the argument. The battle of polarity, draining the in you. Do not feed into the argument. Participation is all that's required. Do not feed into the argument. I don't need your right and wrong. I just need your fire. Do not feed into the argument. Do not let the ego seduce your genius. Do not feed into the argument. See beyond the clouds. Many choose not to see this. Do not feed into the argument. Manipulation, instigating emotions. Do not feed into the argument. Talking about raising vibration. It's expressed the lowest.
Brother, sister, whomever you're talking to, and you always have something else to do once the argument starts. All right, do not feed that argument, because that's going to, black people, we go at each other. We do not do togetherness very well at all. We have to admit that, because we have been loaded with poison, and all of us have been affected by that poison. This is important to remember. I mean, super over the top important. We all carry poison. It varies in degrees in different parts of the world, but Rwanda shows it. Every neighborhood where you find black people clustered together, it is pure poison all over that place. I mean, you name it, it's poison. I mean, and we cannot even speak to each other for 15 minutes without that poison coming to the surface.
Yes, sir.
Particularly in the northwestern hemisphere. I mean, I hear people outside my window on a Saturday night, and I heard it all of my existence on this planet. And sometimes just talking on the phone. People just passing by the building. All right? And what do I hear? I can recognize sometimes what we call a black voice. And it's practically screaming and yelling every type of curse word that you could possibly think of in the English language. And most likely, for sure, talking to another black person, because that's how we communicate. And talking about what we are going to kick when I see you next time.